That little white 6x10 trailer I bought, I actually only used that a couple of times and realized how much I hated it. It was too short for towing behind a truck and camper because I can't see to back the thing up, plus it would jackknife really fast. So through a friend of a friend, I found this 7x12. 7x12 is actually a perfect width and size for how I prefer to use it. I've actually already had this trailer for a little while, so we're going to do a quick walkthrough and show you a lot of the features of it that came with the trailer the way I bought it. Here you can see that I've removed a bunch of decals, and there's a small light up there that you won't see in some of the other footage. So this is a later video shot or later video segment than what I'm about to show. So the stuff I'm about to show is right after I pick the trailer up, where it has all kinds of stickers and decals all over the outside of it, which I've removed. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So behind me is another trailer that I just recently bought. It's a 7x12 Wells Cargo Road Force model. Some of the features that I really like about the Wells Cargo trailers is at least most dealers, they will order these with a 4-foot tongue. 4-foot tongue works really good for towing it behind a truck camper. I'm the third owner of it. The previous owner installed a battery rack right there, and this other battery is for the trailer breakaway system. I think I'm going to have to do something here to separate the wiring so that the two batteries don't interconnect to each other. I had a similar model. This is a 2009. I had a 2010 6x12 Road Force. The thing about the Road Force models is they are torsion axle. Torsion axle suspension doesn't have leaf springs. This has flow-through air vents. This lower rear vent is the outlet. Air flows out these 4 little holes here, and the actual cutout in the wall in the interior of the trailer is up high. Ramp door. Five marker lights across the back. At some point I'll work on removing the decals from the previous owner. I started to pull off the A and kind of made a mess. Some of the adhesive pulled off, some of it didn't. And the front vent, the holes are also down at the bottom, and then the hole inside of the trailer wall is up high. And I think what I need to do is reseal this. Wells Cargo has been in business since 1954. I believe they were pretty much the original company that started building enclosed cargo trailers. Diamond plate rock guard in the front. On the 6x12 that I had, it had a similar rock guard, and I actually had a taller one installed. The trailer originally came from Freeway Trailer Sales in Fife, Washington, and that's the same company or the same dealer that I bought my 6x12 from. Tires are ST 205 7515. These are some trailer tires that I repurposed from an RV that I had already replaced the tires on. These tires were about 5 years newer than what was on this trailer, so I took those others off. I might be able to see the torsion axle. You can see that it doesn't have a leaf spring hanging below the axle. And This also has swing down rear stabilizer jacks. I do it with my right hand. There we go. And they'll kind of lock into place. And then we push this little lever here. And the foot drops. Years ago I had a 6x10 and it also had the same style stabilizer jack. A spring assist rear ramp. It's really easy to open. And the previous owner had put some speckled paint on the floor. And I don't know if it was the previous owner or the owner before that installed all of this E-track on the floor. And then there's also 3 in-floor flush mount wheel chocks for motorcycles or quads. They're made by a company called Pit Posse. The only disadvantage to these is that they do require a large cutout in the floor. A wall-mounted light switch. Side door there. And it has 3 LED ceiling lights. But one of the owners also installed some black hard plastic on the walls. Kind of gives it a nice finished look, and it also protects the wood on the wall. But there's a strip of E-track along each wall as well. And the owner that I bought this from, he included about 10 of these E-track clips. And it's got a cobalt stainless steel toolbox that locks. And they threw in those wrenches too, T-handled wrenches. Those are really common for working on motorcycles. And across the front here, this is a Motorsports fuel jug carrier. It looks like it's big enough to fit 5 jugs, but you could only fit 4 because there's a little tie-down rack. The reason the tie-down rack is down at the bottom is if we move up here, there's also one at the top. So what a person would do is hook one hook on the top, hook the other hook down on the bottom, and then cinch the tie-down up so it was tight. And that just keeps everything from flopping around and banging and stuff. It's got a first aid rack right there. And a fire extinguisher. A Pit Posse diamond plate aluminum cabinet. All of the accessories in here are Pit Posse. Back here we've got a tray to hold bottles of oil and whatnot, and I actually threw a roll of paper towels in there. This is a paper towel rack, but part of it's missing. It's only got one of the hooks or clips on the side. I don't know what was supposed to be over here. And there's the inside of our flow-through vent. And this is a rack for our T-handle wrench set. And this is a rack for spray cans like chain lube, silicone spray, and whatnot. And then this is just a general purpose rack up here that I've thrown a few things in. And then moving the rear, we've got 2 helmet racks. I've applied some wood putty over some holes, and once this dries tomorrow I'll sand it down. And this is a rack for tires. I actually have no use for this, so I will end up removing it. This is a junction box for all of your wiring. So the main wiring harness travels under the floor up the left side frame rail and then travels up this corner. It comes in right here, and then all of the wiring for the various marker lights, tail lights, and overhead lights connects to the main harness. So we can actually take this little cover off. So that's our tail light. That's one of the turn signals and brake lights. That's the other turn signal brake light. That's the marker, or that, no, that's the overhead lights. And this is all the ground wires. So everything comes back and connects here. And there's a piece of foam that's wrapped up over the top of the roof rafter, and then this corner aluminum piece is what you see from the outside. That is screwed to the roof rafters. And then we have the aluminum, or actually no, this is galvanized steel roof material. And then down the middle, we've got a piece of 1/4 inch Luan, and it's also screwed. The only thing this trailer lacks is a roof vent. And I will probably install one right here between these two roof rafters. If this trailer had a roof vent from the factory, they would have put another roof rafter here, approximately right there, so that you would have a 14-inch spacing between. That's your typical RV style roof vent, is a 14-inch cutout. What I will end up doing is spanning the gap between these two with a piece of lumber and build a little frame. The only thing I don't like about this black material is that it kind of darkens up the interior of the trailer quite a bit when the doors are closed with the lights on. The 6x10 trailer that I had painted the entire interior of the trailer, well, at least the walls, I had painted them white, and it really brightened up the interior a lot. There's Zerk fittings on each of the 3 door hinges. We can't see them right now, but they're visible from the outside. Let's take a look at the roof. I really had no intention of buying another trailer after just recently buying a 6x10 Wells cargo. But a friend of a friend mentioned this trailer to me. I asked if it had torsion axles, and he said it did. And I said, okay, well, let's measure the tongue on the front and tell me how long that is. And it was 4 feet long. So I thought about it for a little bit and decided that's too good of a deal to pass up, especially with all of the goodies and stuff and how it's been equipped inside specifically for motorsports activities, motorcycles, quads, and whatnot. And since I primarily use a trailer to haul a motorcycle, this was a perfect fit. Plus it's a little bit bigger than the 6x10. I actually only used the 6x10 once, and that was 2 weeks ago, and I think at that point I had already made the commitment to buy this trailer. I'm glad I did, because that 6x10 was just a little bit annoying because it's shorter inside the height, so I had to duck when I walked. And I had actually installed a lift kit on it. Dexter Axle makes a torsion axle lift kit, which is a spacer, and it raises it about 2.6 inches, gives it more ground clearance, and I don't have to adjust the height of my trailer hitch amongst all my different trailers, so that was another benefit of lifting it. Anyway, it did not have a ramp door. I was just using a 2x8 to load my motorcycle, and it was kind of steep. And that's when I decided, wow, this would be the perfect trailer because it's got the ramp door on it. I've always been a big fan of barn doors, even for motorcycles. The reason being is I use the trailer for a lot of other things besides motorcycles, and a lot of those other things I just have this idea that I'd prefer barn doors as opposed to a ramp door. Well, I've given up that thought. This is going to be better for me. I don't know yet if I will install the spacer lift on this trailer or not. This one already has what appears to be quite a bit of clearance between the fenders and the top of the tires. The other trailer, there was a lot less clearance, and I didn't really lift it just to gain more clearance. Here it was just to raise it up off the ground and get more ground clearance. But I think with the amount of space this already has, it might look kind of goofy and out of place with a huge gap between the fender and the top of the tire. Before I prepped the 6x10 to sell, or I should say as I was prepping it to sell, I kept my spacer lift kit right here. It consists of new bolts and that spacer. One spacer for each side. And I will probably take out this fuel can holder. It's quite a bit bigger than I need. I've only got 2 motorsport style fuel jugs. That front area would be a perfect place for my gear bag, my riding gear. Another interesting thought I just had was I have some sort of a workbench across the front that was then open down here in the bottom, so you could have a workspace or a tabletop to store stuff, and the ability to store things underneath of it too. At some point I might do a little touch-up paint work on the floor. There's a few bare spots like right there, and paint's kind of worn through. There's just a bunch of little clips mounted over on this wall too, so I filled in those holes with some wood putty. It should be dry tomorrow morning, and like I mentioned before, I'll go ahead and sand that down and then maybe apply some more. And my ultimate goal is probably to paint the upper half of the walls white, just to brighten it up in here more. Now, one thing I didn't mention was this rack. That's kind of a multi-purpose rack. It looks to me like that'd be a good place to hang up my riding gear, like my jacket and pants and whatnot.